Hey guys, what's going on? Shah here, and today we're going to be looking at another tank build. Today we're actually going to be looking at Demon Hunter this time around. This is not a tank I have played a lot on live. I've just been really playing with it a lot on beta. I've played it before. I'm not super well rounded at it, but there's a really cool build that's going on right now in Mythic Plus that I wanted to talk about and why Demon Hunters are looking so powerful currently. So Shadowlands is going to be released on November 23rd, so it is officially announced. At least we hope they don't pull like another Cyberpunk and delay it again. And with that in mind, a lot of these new builds that are going to be coming out for beta are probably going to be a lot of fine-tuning. We just saw a beta build yesterday, at least by the recording of this video, and Demon Hunter wasn't really touched. They made a minor change to some conduits, and so, like I said, we're really getting down to those like nitty-gritty tuning adjustments that they're making, and Blizzard is really showing their hand on how they want certain classes to play. So today we are on our Kyrian Demon Hunter, and I'm going to be showing you guys exactly why Demon Hunters are looking really good right now and really fun to play. The thing that Demon Hunters are doing really well right now is just an absurd amount of damage. What's crazy about this is it's actually uncapped. So we are on our Kyrian Demon Hunter for a couple of reasons. So the decree, or I guess the covenant ability that you're going to be given if you choose this covenant, is called Elysian Decree. You place a sigil at the targeted location. So if I hit this button, it's similar to all your other sigils. It will detonate, dealing 6k arcane damage and shatter up to 3 lesser soul fragments from enemies affected by the sigil. So this is uncapped damage. Any target that can fit in this circle will be damaged by this ability. So this ability is really cool. It does a lot of damage. It does a lot of burst damage. 6k in beta terms in essentially, I guess, Raid Finder gear is a lot of damage that can be done to a lot of enemies. If you compare that to something like Sigil of the Flame is also uncapped. It does damage to all enemies. So our sigils is going to be what's going to allow a Demon Hunter to just sustain a lot of threat in a Mythic dungeon. And that's mainly what I'm going to be talking about here. This build isn't going to be that great in like raiding. It can obviously be used. It's still going to do a good amount of single target damage. It's going to give you soul fragments for healing. And it might be good if there's like ads on a certain fight. What makes this ability cool is that it interacts with certain legendaries and talent choices. So in this build, people are choosing to run quickened sigils. Now, you could run Sigil of Change, but the idea is that all your sigils will activate faster. Instead of 2-second delay, it's a 1-second delay, and their cooldowns are reduced by 20%. So if you take a look at our spellbook here, Elysian Decree is a 48-second cooldown. It's typically 1 minute. 20% of a minute is 12 seconds, so 48. Now, the other big thing that interacts with this is actually the legendary effect that we can get. I think this can go on like ring and boots, or not boots, legs, obviously, because it's on the legs. So if I can figure out how to open up my journal, we'll go to raid powers, and this is called, I don't know how to say this, Razlik's Defilement, maybe? So legs and wrists. This ability, what it does is every time you soul cleave, it reduces the cooldown of a random sigil that's already on cooldown by 8 seconds. So this is going to affect both our Sigil of Flame, our Elysian Decree, as well as our Sigil of Misery and Sigil of Silence. And like I said earlier, if you talent into Sigil of Chains, it will reduce this. This is typically a 1.5 minute cooldown. You might, if you ever hover over this when you have quickened sigils, it's going to reduce the cooldown of it, but it's 1.5 minutes. So every time you cast your Soul Cleave, which is, I would say, pretty common in the rotation for a Demon Hunter, you're going to reduce a random sigil. So with this build, you're also seeming to run Fracture, because Fracture is going to kind of give you that nice rotation of always shattering those soul fragments from your enemy instead of using Shear. And because you're going to be using Shear a lot, also using like your sigils more often, Fracture just feels like a better, I guess, like pace of the class. So Fracture is typically taken here. Sometimes you'll see Feed the Demon, but normally in most circumstances it's going to be Fracture. I know a lot of people and a lot of Demon Hunters in chat will probably comment on Spirit Bomb not being taken here and taking like Infernal Armor or Charred Flesh. Now, honestly, this road's really good. Spirit Bomb, yes, does do a lot of damage and can do a fair bit of healing. But the thing about Spirit Bomb is it's going to consume the fragments that we're trying to use to maximize our Soul Cleave to reduce the cooldown of our sigils. And that's why it's not being ran here. People do play this build with Spirit Bomb. I just don't like the feeling of how it interacts because I want to like maximize my Soul Cleave's like fragment like consumption. So Mostly their talents don't really matter, like Last Resort's taken in higher keys. Again, like this isn't something that I play a whole lot, so why you might take some things over another, I don't know. And I'd love to have some discourse in the comment section below because I'm still trying to learn about this class in particular. But this build works something like this. So the big thing is going to come down from our Elysian Decree. So if you watch my details meters over here, when I put this down, it's going to be doing a lot of burst damage very quickly, and that did not help because I'm not in current segment. So just from these two abilities alone, I'm doing 7 point whatever K. And then after that, essentially you're going to Fracture, you're going to put up your Infernal Armor, and then you're just going to start just rotating between Fracture and Soul Cleave. And as you do this, you're going to notice that the cooldowns of your sigils are going to obviously come off of cooldown a lot quicker. So essentially what this is giving you is higher uptime on all of your sigils, and with your sigils doing most of your damage and healing with Elysian Decree and obviously Fragment Consumption, you're going to be doing like an insane amount of damage and healing. Most of the time you can sustain anywhere between 5 and 6k on just 5 targets, which is really, really good. This build will scale better into more packs because it's uncapped, though your fragment generation isn't going to be improved at all. So you have to still be aware of your Demon Spike charges, but you can cast these abilities quite often, and the crit of it feels so good when you see fat like 13k numbers. There's actually groups that are running double Vengeance Demon Hunter right now over running a third DPS on their mythic keys, which is kind of ridiculous if you think about it, is that Demon Hunters right now are doing so much damage and they're so tanky that there's no reason to bring a third DPS when you can just have 2 Vengeance Demon Hunters. So like I said, sustaining like 5.5k, I did take a little break when I started because I just meant I'll probably cut it if I'm being honest. So the damage breakdown is just going to be absolutely insane. So you're going to see the main Elysian Decree here. It did, with only 3 casts, it did 100k damage. Most of them were normal hits, which is actually surprising. I've actually, normally in a lot of the testing that I've done so far, I've been able to get a lot more crits than just this one out of all 15 hits. But you're also going to see a repeat of Elysian Decree as well. So why this is doing a lot of damage is because if you take a look at our Soulbinds, there's actually a potency conduit called Repeat Decree. And this causes the damage to erupt again 1 second later for an additional 25% damage. This doesn't fracture any more shards, unfortunately, but it does give you a lot more burst potential with this. Now, are you going to run this? Probably not. I'm not really sure exactly what Demon Hunters are playing around with currently. There is a kind of a cool IMO build with Growing Inferno that you can do, and then the Soul Furnace can make for some pretty fat cleaves, but I think Repeat Decree is kind of fun to play with, and you get to see a lot of burst damage. Again, I don't know how great this is going to be in like super high keys, but it's kind of cool to see Demon Hunters being able to pop off for so much. So like I said, you would start with Elysian Decree, you would put down your Sigil of Flame, you would pop Infernal Armor, and by this point you should have enough Fury and enough shards to be able to cast your first Soul Cleave, and then as you do, you're just going to pretty much rotate back between the two abilities, and as your decrees come up, you're just going to place them down. So this is looking like a really fun build. It does a lot of damage, and it doesn't require a lot of brain power either, because it's like 4 buttons you kind of relate. Obviously, like you have a toolkit that you can use in a key, and there's things that are going to be going on that you're going to have to pay attention to. But for the most part, just a really fun build that does like a lot of damage. And I'm excited to see that this playstyle take place. Blizzard, people have speculated nerfs happening to this build, but we haven't seen those yet. And with Shadowlands actually being announced and not seeing those still yet, I think this is what they want Mythic Demon Hunters to kind of look like a really aggressive, fast-paced play style. So I want to hear what you guys think. If I'm wrong about this being a Mythic plus meta build, let me know, because I have no idea, because I've never actually made a Demon Hunter in high-end keys. I know it's a popular class, and I'm excited to see them performing so well, because I think they deserve a spot towards kind of the top of the podium this time around. They've been kind of flying under the radar, no pun intended, for quite some time. And it's gonna be cool to see them be able to perform. I know there's been a lot of like weird changes to Havoc lately, and a lot of people are pretty stressed about that. But I'd like to see what people think about Vengeance Demon Hunter. So I hope you guys enjoyed this build. Let me know what you guys think. Have some discourse in the comment section below, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Take care.